Did you know there are certain debts you may never have to pay again? For many seniors, this truth comes as both a surprise and a relief. Countless older adults have spent years sending money to debt collectors, believing they had no choice, when in reality, the law often says otherwise. The fact is, thousands of retirees are still giving away their limited income to settle debts that no longer carry legal weight. What makes this situation worse is that many collectors are fully aware of the law, but continue to pressure people, relying on fear instead of facts. Today, we'll walk through 6 specific kinds of debt that attorneys often warn older adults not to keep paying. These are debts where the law is on your side, no matter what a collector on the phone tries to claim. We'll cover why these debts eventually lose their power, how so many seniors get trapped into paying them, and what steps you can take if you're still being harassed. Each point will replace fear with knowledge and control. So, if you've been worried about bills draining your retirement savings, take a deep breath. You're about to discover 6 important truths that can completely change the way you handle debt. 1. Old medical bills that are past the legal limit. For many older adults, medical costs have stacked up over the years, whether from surgeries, emergency visits, or hospital stays. Each new letter or phone call can bring fresh pressure. What most people don't realize is that medical debt doesn't last forever. Every state has a statute of limitations that sets a time limit on how long hospitals or collectors can legally sue for payment. In some states, it may be 3 years, in others, 6. After that window closes, the debt loses its legal power. Collectors may still call or send letters, but you are not required to pay anymore. Many seniors worry that unpaid hospital bills could reduce their Social Security checks. But the truth is, by federal law, Social Security income is protected from most creditors. No hospital or collector can touch that money, no matter what threats they make. Take Margaret, a 74-year-old widow. She spent years sending hundreds each month for a hospital bill from nearly a decade earlier. When a legal aid attorney explained that the statute of limitations had expired years before, she realized she could have used that money for her medication and daily needs. That one piece of knowledge completely changed her life. If you're still receiving calls about old doctor or hospital bills, pause before paying. Ask how old the debt is and whether the statute of limitations has already expired. If it has, you may already be free. This isn't about running away from responsibility. It's about knowing your rights and protecting your dignity. 2. Expired credit card balances. Credit cards often serve as a lifeline in difficult times, but the debt can linger for years after the card itself is gone. Just like medical bills, credit card debt is also limited by a statute of limitations. Once the period ends, the lender no longer has a legal right to sue. Collectors may still contact you, but they rely on fear and confusion to collect money they're not entitled to. The real danger comes when older adults unknowingly restart the clock. Making even a small payment or admitting the debt is yours can reset the statute of limitations, giving collectors fresh power to sue. That's why it's important not to rush into paying when pressured. Always verify the age of the debt first. Robert, a 78-year-old retired bus driver, was hounded by collectors over a card he hadn't used in 15 years. They demanded thousands and threatened lawsuits. But once he spoke with a legal clinic, he learned the debt was long past the legal deadline. He stopped paying, the calls eventually ended, and his Social Security remained safe. That knowledge gave him peace of mind and restored his confidence. If you're dealing with old credit card bills, remember, time may be working in your favor. The law protects you more than you think. 3. Certain private student loans. Most people believe student loans follow you forever, but that's not always true. Federal student loans come with strict rules, but some private student loans can expire under the statute of limitations. If you or even your children took out loans years ago that have been in default for a long time, lenders may no longer be able to sue for repayment. Another important detail: federal student loans are usually wiped out when the borrower dies, and many private student loans cannot be collected from surviving spouses or children unless they co-signed. Many seniors worry their children will inherit their student debt, but unless they are legally tied to the loan, the responsibility usually ends with the borrower. Linda, an 82-year-old grandmother, had been paying an old private student loan for decades. She feared her grandchildren would inherit the debt if she didn't. After talking to a nonprofit attorney, she learned the loan was uncollectible and her family couldn't be held responsible. That truth lifted years of unnecessary guilt and freed her to use her money for her needs. For personal loans from friends or family that were never formalized. Some of the hardest debts for seniors to carry aren't from banks, but from personal loans borrowed from relatives, neighbors, or friends years ago. Many older adults still feel guilt over unpaid favors from decades back. But if these loans were never written into a formal contract, or they've long passed the statute of limitations, they can no longer be legally enforced. Helen, an 81-year-old, spent decades worrying about $50 she borrowed from a church friend back in the 1970s. That friend had passed away, yet Helen still felt ashamed. When her daughter explained that the debt was legally and practically gone, Helen cried in relief. She realized she had carried unnecessary guilt for over 40 years. As seniors, it's important to forgive ourselves for debts that no longer exist. Holding on to invisible chains only steals the peace we deserve. 5. Expired medical debts, again but stressed differently. Medical bills are often the scariest letters to open. But once enough years pass, depending on your state, those old balances cannot be enforced. Hospitals often sell old accounts to collectors who use fear and urgency to pressure payment. But legally, these debts can't touch your Social Security, your home, or your future care. Margaret, an 82-year-old widow, once received a demand letter for a hospital bill from 1998. After speaking with a legal counselor, she learned it was unenforceable. That knowledge gave her back her nights of sleep and freed her from years of anxiety. 6. Utility bills after death. Many seniors fear their children will inherit unpaid gas, electricity, or water bills after they pass. Collectors sometimes even suggest this to pressure families into paying. But the truth is, unless a spouse or child's name is also on the account, they are not responsible for those old balances. When Robert, a 79-year-old, realized his overdue water bill would not pass on to his children, he finally relaxed. Utilities can close the account, but they cannot demand past payments from surviving family members. Growing older already comes with challenges. You don't need to carry debts that legally don't belong to you anymore. From expired medical bills to old credit card balances to private student loans that end with the borrower, the law provides more protection for seniors than most people realize. The most important truth is this: you have rights. Understanding them not only saves money but restores peace of mind. Seniors should not spend their final years sacrificing health, food, or medicine for debts that no longer exist. These years should be about peace, dignity, and family. So remember, just because a bill shows up in your mailbox doesn't mean it deserves your money. By learning which debts can be released, you reclaim control over your finances and your future. Thank you for spending this time with us today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned and how you apply it in your life. Your comments inspire us to keep going. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to Elderly Health Tips and share. Your support makes it possible for us to continue creating content that informs and uplifts. We appreciate you watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.